service in the house.
Buckethead. It's Buckethead time.
TC, you're undefeated, man. You're undefeated.
Hello and welcome to another edition of the TC and Company podcast. Tom Karen with you on a road trip this week as we come to you from Hadlock Field in Portland, Maine, the home of the Sea Dogs, AA affiliate of the Boston Red Sox. While the big club is spending the weekend in Chicago after a 4-game split with the Minnesota Twins, the Portland Sea Dogs are rolling along with some of the top prospects in the organization playing up the middle. Ceddanne Rafaela has been exceptional in center field. Nick York having a terrific bounce-back season at second base. And Marcelo Meyer, now just a little over 3 weeks since his promotion from Single A, is opening eyes and getting people to stand and pulling them up out of their seats here at Hadlock Field. The top prospect in the organization, a top 10 prospect in all of Major League Baseball, almost 2 years removed from being drafted in the first round, 4th overall by the Red Sox. This guy is on the fast track to the big club, will be with the team before too long, but it's still an adjustment right now as he makes that move to AA. Came up originally and struggled a little bit over the first 4 or 5 days, but now the power is starting to show. He's got 4 home runs as we come to you with the podcast and has impressed everyone with his commitment to defense and the work he puts in at shortstop every single day. Great conversation with the number 1 prospect in the organization, Marcelo Meyer, the guest on this week's TC and Company podcast. All right, Marcelo, you've had, 3 weeks or so now up here in Portland. A little different than playing baseball in the South. How's it been getting used to Portland, getting used to Maine?
It's been good. The transition's been well. Obviously, the numbers aren't where, I hope they would be. But, I've been taking a lot of positives out of, the good outcomes that I've been having. The weather hasn't been too bad. I got here at a good time.
If you're going to plan it out, get here, late May, early June. Right. That's the time to get to Maine.
Yeah.
The adjustment, we talk so much in baseball about that jump from Single A to AA. And that's really, now you're seeing pitchers that maybe are more complete, a wider arsenal, 2, 3+ pitches.
Yeah.
What's that been like for you from day one stepping here to even where you already are now 3 weeks later?
It's been good. Like you said, it is a little bit of an adjustment. Like you said, pitchers do have better stuff. They have 3 to 4 pitches now, throwing really everything at you, and everything looks like a strike. Everyone's, the misses aren't as bad. So you just can't be taking at bats off.
You had a night last night. First you get robbed,
yeah.
Then you get your revenge.
Yeah.
Some home runs, talking to guys over the years, feel a little better than other. When you had one taken away earlier in the game, How good did that one feel?
Oh, that felt amazing. It felt amazing. I mean, I thought I got the first one pretty good. Center fielder made a hell of a play. All my buddies were sending me videos of top 10. It was second on top 10 list. So it kind of stung a little bit, but hitting the second one, or the first one, I would say, felt really good.
Your very first one here was a bomb, right? It
hit
off the roof and then went out to the football field.
Yeah.
And again, because it had been a few games, right, before you got that first hit, so you kind of get your feet under it. How good did that feel to get that first one, kind of check off that box at the AA level?
Felt really good. It was a special moment, especially since my parents were here from out of town, so being able to share that moment with my family was really special.
You got to share a bunch of this experience with your family, right?
Yeah.
Take us through that a little bit. You get the call.
Yeah.
They're already in Greenville, right?
Yep.
Waiting for you to come home from a road trip. Take us through that.
Yeah, so we're on a road trip, and then they call me up that Sunday after the game. My dad's in the airport, and he's getting a rental car, and I'm spam calling him. I'm like, Dad, I need to tell you something. He's like, wait, I need to get a rental car. Hangs up. I'm like, you might not want to get that rental car. So then he calls me after. I'm like, you might want to return that rental car because we're going to New Jersey. I just got called up to AA. He was like, they were excited. They were excited. So we ended up doing a road trip, 13 hours to New Jersey. And then from there, drove up here, which was another 9 hours together.
They were with you the whole way?
Yeah, so they spent 2 weeks with me instead of 1. So that was nice.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. When you get the call, we've covered a lot of prospects over the years. Generally, as you get close to the All-Star game is when there's a lot of promotions.
Yeah.
You were playing great in Greenville, so probably not a huge surprise that you were in contention to get that move, but was the timing a surprise at all? Do you expect it then?
I don't think it's something that you expect. You just go out there and try to do your job every single day and let everything else take care of itself. So, I wasn't really surprised, but I was really excited.
You get to go home, right? So you went home with the team?
Yeah.
You bust back to Greenville with the team after you get the call, so then you meet up with your parents. Not many guys get to do that. Like it's kind of like going off to college, right? Or going off the very first time. Like how cool was that trip? Did you talk? I mean, was it one of those sort of moments where maybe you get to put a little stuff in perspective with your folks?
Yeah, it was cool, especially that last bus ride with, some of my good friends on that team saying like, oh, hopefully you guys come up with me soon. But yeah, I miss some of those guys down there.
What about with your parents? What about that drive up to New Jersey? I mean, that's a pretty cool experience.
Yeah, very cool experience. I mean, considering, I'm really glad they came just because I don't know how I would have done driving 14 hours myself. But yeah, it was really good moments shared, moments that last forever.
Those moments with the parents, even back to when you were drafted, like we do these My Stories with guys who, have been in the majors for a long time, and you ask them about the day they got drafted, and they've got the same look you have now, right? That young kid look again.
Yeah.
And they always talk about, the work you put in is one thing, but the sacrifices a family makes to help you get
100%.
there is another thing. Sharing these moments with them. Let's go back to the draft, first of all. What was that like? I know you stayed home, and you had a huge crowd, right? You had like 300 people, family members come together. Tell me what that was like to be able to share that with everybody.
Yeah. I mean, it was probably one of the best days of my life, just considering that not only for me, but all my family was there, all my friends. Family drove down from Arizona, so just to be able to share that moment, a moment that we've all sacrificed for and just worked so hard for, like be able to be shared together was really cool.
Were your parents always big baseball fans?
Yes, always.
I know he was a Yankee fan. We can get that out of the way. He's moved on, right?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, he's learned.
Yeah.
He's learned. We all evolve. We all get better.
Yeah.
But was it always part of your life? Like, do you just, as young as you can remember, do you remember just baseball being part of it?
Oh, yeah. I mean, growing up, I'd like to say from the hospital, like right when I came out, my dad gave me a plastic ball and bat, and I started swinging that thing. I mean, growing up as a kid, if I wasn't outside playing, I was inside playing. So that's pretty much all I did growing up.
But mostly outside. You're in San Diego, not Portland, Maine.
Yeah.
When your parents, along the way, was it always supportive? Is your dad a coach? Like what? Some guys, their dad's their best coach. Some guys, their dad's just a pat on the back guy.
Yeah.
What was that experience like?
No, I mean, I owe all my credit to my dad. He was my coach growing up from when I started playing to up until high school, when he gave me off to someone else. But without him, I wouldn't be where I am today. He was the one that sacrificed going out to practice at night when he didn't want to. So without him, I wouldn't be here.
You said you get chills thinking back about that draft experience, and I know a lot of people wanted you to go to the actual draft and be part of that, and you knew how big that crowd was going to be at home. What was that like, just watching the joy on everybody's face? Take us through that night, because we're almost at the anniversary, right? It was the All-Star break.
Yeah.
What was that day like?
I mean, like I said, it was the best day of my life, and it was a really easy decision for me not to go to the draft just because of that reason. I wanted to, share with everyone, like the community, all my friends, my family. So just to be able to, to share that moment with everyone was really cool. Everyone came to the house after, so, it was probably one of the best weekends of my life, I'd say.
A couple years later now, how much have you learned about yourself? Out on your own, kind of learning the business part of it, learning to deal with failure, because that's much more part of it here.
Tell me about it.
What's that been like?
It's been well. I mean, you learn a lot living by yourself. This is my second year now living alone. So, it's a grind, it's a process, and they say it in the clubhouse all the time. You sign that minor league contract, you're signing up to fail. So, you got to get used to it. You got to learn how to deal with it. You got to learn how to handle adversity.
What's the biggest challenge living alone? The cooking, the cleaning, like what have you had to work at?
One, the cooking. I'd say the cooking. I grew up with a really good chef, my mom. So the cooking's one, and then two is just like creating a routine outside of the field. I'd say is the biggest one. You're at the field so long that you need to, have a separate life outside, and it's kind of hard to balance the both.
You're probably getting to the point in Greenville where you're getting that. Then you got to kind of start over a little bit up here. Who helped you here? Who's been like the support network for up here in Portland so far?
Thankfully, I got called up with one of my buddies, CT. Yeah. So we've been dealing with it together, learning, our ways around here. We were getting comfortable in Greenville, and then we got the call up, which is part of it. So we're starting to settle in here pretty well.
Have you had a chance to take in Portland at all? You had a good lobster roll yet?
Sure,
What's
yeah,
Portland
for sure.
been like?
Yeah, it's really cool. Like I said, my parents were here week 1, so we went out every morning, every night after the game. Had an off day together, so we explored downtown, went to the lake, saw ate at High Roller. Shout out High Roller. They have really good lobster rolls there. It was my So when I signed, I went to Boston. I didn't like the lobster rolls, and I was like so bummed because I was like, damn, if I'm gonna be up here, I need to start liking lobster rolls. But thankfully I like the lobster roll I had.
Yeah, high
with my
roller's
parents.
legit.
Yeah.
Like you got to get it. If you're in Maine, you got to get it. That's where you get a good lobster roll in Maine. As you come up here, the one thing I always think is interesting, right? You begin in the Red Sox. It's such a passionate fan base. Like they know who you are. The day you get drafted, everyone's your followers on social media started exploding, right? All of that. But once you get to AA, now you're here. Like you're right up the road, and Worcester's right over the road. So have you felt that a little bit difference? Like you're in Red Sox country, whereas Greenville before, you're in Red Sox organization, but not necessarily with Red Sox fans all around. Everybody up here is a Red Sox fan. Have you felt that difference with the fan base?
100%. You do start to feel a little bit, you get to the area where everyone's a Red Sox fan. You go out of your house, everyone's wearing Red Sox hats. You go to the mall, everyone's wearing Red Sox hats. So, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool, especially, a lot of people start recognizing you. So it's pretty cool.
I was going to say, tougher to stay incognito now up here?
Yeah, a lot of beanies, a lot of hoodies.
Yeah, that'll go till August when it warms up a little bit.
Yeah.
But that's cool, right? It's the fan base, right?
Yeah.
It's so passionate. They care so much about this team. How cool is it to be part of that?
It's awesome. I mean, it's a really historic team with probably one of the best. Boston in general is just a really good sports city, probably the best sports city in America. So, just to hopefully be part of that one day and, to be able to share moments, hopefully win a World Series is pretty cool.
You got a little taste of it at spring training, got to play with the big club. What was that experience like?
It was awesome. To be able to share the field with, people you looked up to your whole life, watching them play your whole life, and then, next thing you know, you're at shortstop next to, all these players is pretty cool. I was a little nervous.
I was watching the video of that double, and you kind of pop up on second base and look back to the dugout, and you had a big smile on your face, but there's also a little bit like your eyes were kind of still like, wow, what was that moment like?
It was really cool. You're just going up there trying to control your nerves, trying to hit a ball hard, and the situation of the game, I was put up in a good spot and I delivered, so it was a pretty cool moment.
I don't think people understand too. I've been to a lot of spring trainings. Those backfields are quiet.
Oh my God, tell me about it.
Does that feel like all of a sudden it feels like a major league game?
Yeah.
I got 10,000 people there.
Going from backfield to, a big league game feels like Game 7 of the World Series. Those backfield games seem like they're 7 hours long. So, it's kind of an adrenaline rush that you don't usually get in spring training.
Did you get to spend a little time with Cora? I know he said some great things about you to us after the game, but what was that kind of getting to build a little bit of the early stages of a relationship?
Yeah, he's the man. He came up to me my first spring training, and we got along really well. He's a player's manager. He's been around the game, more than I've been alive. So he's a really cool guy. I remember my first experience with him, he was out there taking ground balls with us. So it was a pretty cool
he can still
thing
pick
to see.
It.
Oh yeah,
he can still pick it. Like that's it. Yeah. When somebody makes an error on the Red Sox, one thing of all the managers they cover, he knows because he did that.
Right?
He put in the work.
Yeah.
Kind of cool having an infielder as a manager.
Yeah, really cool. Really cool. He messed around with us there, saying he's a better infielder than all of us, stuff like that.
One thing that he is really proud of is being bilingual has helped him connect with different parts of the clubhouse. You're on the other end of the spectrum as a young guy, but has that been an advantage as you sort of embark on this professional journey, the fact that you can communicate as a bilingual person with different parts of the clubhouse?
Yeah, 100%. You go down to the FCL and damn near everyone speaks Spanish, so to be able to, get along with everyone, bring players together, be kind of like a translator for everyone is pretty special.
There's also some leadership that kind of automatically becomes part of that.
You know,
you're a young guy, but as you're moving up 19, 20, guys are gravitating to you. I've talked to some of the minor league managers and stuff. They're like, he's just a guy that brings a clubhouse together. Are you proud of sort of being that type of guy?
Yeah, 100%. And, it's easier said than done for me because, like you said, I do speak 2 languages, so it's easier for me to communicate with everyone. But, I don't take that lightly. I take that with, a lot of how do you say it?
Humility?
Yes, humility, and I work on it a lot. I try to get the whole team together because we're a family. At the end of the day, it's really a brotherhood. You're spending every single day together for 6 months, so you become brothers with everyone, and it's pretty cool to just be able to get everyone together.
Have you ever caught anybody by surprise, like they don't know you speak Spanish?
Every single time I meet a new Latin. Or even on the field, I start speaking Spanish. So I was like, "Oh, bro, you speak Spanish?" Every time.
That's what I was wondering. On the field, if guys were ever chirping in Spanish or something, and you just step in, and they're like, "Oh, wait a minute."
Yeah, you know who the Lions are on the other team. They get the second you start speaking in Spanish, they always give me a look. Like, where are you from? I'm like, yeah, don't worry about it.
When you're a high prospect, a high draft choice, there's a lot of voices, right?
Yeah.
A lot of coaches, a lot of people with suggestions, a lot of people wanting to talk about the business of the game. Was that a challenge at all in the early days to channel that out and focus, or have you been able to do that from day one?
No, I think I've been able to do that. I have a really good team around me that, just helps me focus on doing me and focus on going out there and getting better every single day.
Your parents are a big part of that, obviously. Having been brought up that way, did that make you maybe more prepared to embark on this journey? Because some guys, the money, the attention, everything that goes on outside of the baseball can sometimes become too much. But talking to everybody around you, it's never affected you.
No, I don't think so.
Is that a big part of your upbringing?
Yeah, for sure. And like you said, all that is outside of baseball. For me, I love playing the game. And, obviously that comes with accolades and things outside of the game. But for me, I'm most happy when I'm playing here, just playing hard, trying to win a game.
You love it as much now as you did as a kid?
Just love it more. Love it more. I mean, I'm living my dream, As a kid, you'd go to sleep thinking about, these moments, and now you're living in it. So it's, sometimes you take it for granted, but then you just got to take a step back and realize the life that you're living.
After the draft, a couple years ago, you came to Fenway, hit one into the bullpen, hit one, I believe, over the bullpen, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. What was that like to get that first taste of what Fenway Park's like? Because it's different. I mean, even nobody in the park, it's different.
Yeah. I mean, first time being in Fenway, especially, was never been to a stadium with that much tradition, that much, that old, and it was like an eye opener when I first walked up those stairs. It was an awesome stadium, for sure. One of my favorite stadium I've ever been to. And then, I step on the field, start taking grounders with Xander. I was in shock. Awesome moment to share. What a great guy. And then also taking BP, looked pretty far to right field, coming from a high school field. But yeah, to be able to get sneak some of those out felt good.
Did you get to see the red seat? The Ted Williams seat?
Yeah. There's no way he hit it that far. There's no way.
So they've gone back. You ready for this? So it's 502 feet to the seat. But it actually, by the way they measure home runs now, it'd be 527 because you measure a home run to where it lands, right?
Okay,
so it's 502 into the seat, but it would have landed 527.
Yeah, they took us up to that seat, and I was like, oh my goodness.
David Ortiz, when I was traveling, I used to be the reporter and travel with the team, and every spring training that we'd get into at the end of spring training, and Poppy would say out there, they moved it back. Yeah. They moved it back 2 rows. Every year he would complain. Guys have gone out with aluminum bats and haven't been able to get
Paul
there.
Taboni was the one who was walking us out to that seat, and they said that David Ortiz would go up there with an aluminum bat and try to hit it, and he couldn't do it. So it's pretty funny.
You know much about Ted Williams, San Diego guy?
Yeah, he went to Hoover High School, right? Yeah, pretty cool.
It's kind of cool to be able to. I mean, you think about connecting that part of the history, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, him being from San Diego is a pretty cool moment. I didn't know that until, it's like I was a senior in high school. Someone was telling me, and then I get drafted by the Red Sox. Obviously, he's a legend from San Diego as well. It's pretty cool.
That is really cool. When you go visit Boston, you said you went down there on an off day not long ago.
Yeah.
You can tell us. Is there a moment where you walk around and kind of say, man, someday I'm going to live here, I'm going to play here, this is going to be my life?
I mean, more than a moment. I'd say it's 100 moments, I went with 2 buddies, and that's pretty much all we were talking about. It just fires you up. We wanted to come to the field the next day to start working just so we could get there sooner,
It's funny because it's not just one step closer moving up to AA, but geographically you're right here.
Yeah.
Right? You guys have a day game here. You can flip on the Sox game that night. Do you feel more connected to it, more part of it now? Because of where you are in the neighborhood, you're
100%. Like I said, we're so close. Everyone here loves the Red Sox, and then, off days we try to sneak out there every single off day just because it's so close and it's so accessible.
You talked a lot about being home. I got to hear the story. Grand slam in your last high school at bat. Is that true?
Yeah. Take me through that at bat. I mean, come on. Yeah. So state playoffs. It was the first round of state playoffs. We were down 6-2 at the time. And I was so in the zone that, I ended up telling the third base coach on the other team, if I get up with bases loaded, I'm hitting a grand slam. Don't pitch to me. And he said, don't worry about it. We won't pitch to you. So they end up scoring 2 more runs. So it's 8-2. And then, sure enough, I come up with bases loaded. It's not 6-2 anymore, but it's 8-2 now. And then I just felt it. The whole time I was like, I'm going to hit a homer. I'm going to hit a homer. And then I go up there, he threw me a first pitch fastball, and I was able to hit it. I was probably, as far as not in pro ball, that was the best moment I've ever had playing the game, especially since it was my last at bat.
Is that the most confidence you've ever walked up to a plate with in your life?
I'd say it's up there.
Like Jim Rice does the shows with me, right? Hall of Famer, hit 382 home runs. He goes, I never went up there trying to hit home runs, except maybe once or twice. Like a guy drilled me last time. I said, all right, I'm going up there to do damage.
Yeah.
Like you went up there thinking, I'm going to hit a grand slam.
I mean, it was all or nothing. It was my last high school at bat ever. So I wasn't going to just, try to hit a single. You know what I mean? I was trying to leave, in style.
What's that like going around the bases after that moment? You're literally circling the bases for the last time as a high school hitter. Is that bittersweet in a way?
It was. I mean, and we were still in the game, so I was still so focused in the game and trying to win the game. But, looking back at it, it was really bittersweet.
What are the things you got to work on now, like where you're at right now? Obviously, we talked about the adjustment, but are there specific things now that you've moved up to the AA level, you've got your feet under you now, and you're settling in? What are the things you're working on now?
I'd say the biggest thing, I mean, obviously I could improve my whole game, but I'd say the biggest thing in the box right now is just, hitting my pitches, not giving into the pitcher's game plan, not swinging at his pitches, and, just doing damage in the zones that, I could do damage in.
What's Epi been like?
He's the best. Another player's manager, he knows. He's also been playing more than I've been alive. So, he knows his way. He's a really cool guy. He, always gives you the best advice.
A couple things I want to ask you before we let you go. Working with Nick York up the middle, how's that been going?
It's been good. 2 Cali boys. I played against him growing up a lot.
Did you?
Yeah, I played against him. I'd say my last 3 years of travel ball, I played against him quite a lot in Arizona tournaments. He was always a baller. So just to be able, and then when they drafted him too, or when they drafted me, right? They drafted me. I knew that eventually I'd share the field with him. So
now you finally get to do it regularly.
Together.
What's that chemistry been like? Like, is it something that kind of right away you clicked off? Or?
Yeah. It's been smooth sailing since we started. We kind of just built that connection, both being from California. Both being from around the same area, knowing the same people.
He go to Boston with you on the trip?
He didn't. No. So we went to Binghamton. A lot of the guys were tired. And then 2 of the guys, trailblazers, we were just like, let's go to Boston, screw it. Ended up getting there at 5 a.m.
Of course. It's good to be young.
Yeah.
And at Cedar Rafaela, we've been talking a lot about him, obviously, for the last couple of years. You got to see him a bit here. What's he been like?
Yeah, he's a baller. He loves to play, loves to compete, goes out there, plays harder than anyone I've ever seen. Seems like it's Game 7 every single time he takes the field, and it's just really special. I love seeing him more as a fan than, he does stuff where I'm like, oh my goodness, that's ridiculous.
His outfield defense is.
Yeah, I almost just want to drop my glove and start clapping for him as with the fans, just because he's so good out there.
Knowing that this group, if all goes well, you guys are going to march your way up there together, whatever the timetable is. But how cool is that? I mean, there's certain times, again, I've been doing this a long time, right? But you cover the minors, and there's all right, this guy might make it, this guy might make it. But you look at this Portland team right now, and there's a handful of guys there that if all goes well, you'll all be in Boston together in a couple of years. That's kind of cool, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's special. I mean, we have a really special team here. We're a really good team. Our record shows it. And, it's not something that, we really think about. Obviously, it's a dream and a goal of ours. But right now, we're just focused on, being where our feet are and, getting better here so that eventually we could help the team win up there.
You don't try to put a timetable on yourself?
No, I don't do that. I just go out there and play hard and let everything else take care of itself.
You got great advice along the way. One last thing. What's one thing you've learned about us? You've learned about New England. What's one thing that you're still figuring out about New England? What's one thing that surprised you about New England?
So I'd say the first one's the weather for sure. I knew it was going to be cold, but not this cold. A lot of thermals. And then
it's a different kind of cold.
Yeah. And then 2, the fans are just electric. Even here, I mean, they're screaming at you. If you're not performing well, but it's super electric.
Welcome to New England.
Yeah,
you like
awesome.
Dunkin' Donuts? You got
oh yeah, that too.
You got your order figured out?
Yeah,
you know what you're getting now?
Yeah.
That's important.
Of course, yeah.
If you want to be one of us, you got to know what you're getting.
I was a Krispy Kreme guy until I got drafted, and then now I'm just all Dunkin'. I go home and just go straight to Dunkin' every time.
You probably go by 5 on the way home. That's everywhere, right?
Honestly.
Continued success, man. It was great to spend some time talking.
Appreciate that.
It's going to be a lot of fun watching you along the way.
Thank you.
Thanks, Marcelo.
Yep.
Appreciate it, man.
Appreciate you, man.
The one thing you come away feeling after talking to Marcelo Meyer is how composed he is. Just 2 years out of high school, and he's the number 3 hitter for the AA Sea Dogs, as he has been facing older pitchers than him all season long. He's the youngest guy on the Sea Dogs roster, but you can feel the quiet confidence and the commitment to the work it'll take to continue to jump those hurdles and make the next steps. But he is on the fast track, as we said, and you'll see him before too long in Boston. So I want to thank everybody up with the Sea Dogs for letting us get up here to talk to him. And we want to thank you for checking out this week's edition of the TC and Company podcast. We'll see you again next week.